Hi, everybody. My name is Jim Richardson, and this is our Finchloom stunt. Pay no attention to teach. Today, we're going to be doing a stunt live on the internet where I'm going to give out my actual password that I use for Office 365. So, my name is Jim Richardson, founder and CEO of Finchloom. And also on the call with me, we've got our Director of Security Solutions, Trevor Smith. And behind the scenes, running the producer role on Teams, is Nate Jimerson. So let's talk about why we're doing this. The main thing is that nowadays passwords are no longer enough to secure you or your business. Passwords are stolen all the time through phishing websites or even warbots that guess passwords. And then your account can be compromised or you can be impersonated and you may not even know. So in today's world, it's really important that you must have two forms of authentication, a password and something else that you have on you, like a mobile phone or an authenticator app. So today we're demonstrating how to use these security tools to reduce your exposure from leaked passwords. So how did we set up this stunt? I'm going to throw this over to Trevor real quick, and he can describe the three different technologies that we used in this stunt. So Trevor, if you would please go ahead and give us a quick overview of those three things.
Absolutely. So let me just pull up the Azure portal here. We're going to be looking at a few different features that we have set up within the Microsoft tools that we have. So what I have here is the Azure portal. So one of the first things we have set up is conditional access policies. So conditional access policies allow you to control the conditions under which your users are allowed to access your data. So we have a few different rules that we've created in here to control different things. One of them is we are requiring multi-factor authentication, which is the key security control that we have in place for this stunt, and it's something that we recommend to all of our clients and every organization out there as a critical security control that you need to have in place. It's really the most effective thing to prevent against email breaches and account breaches and issues with compromised and stolen passwords. So we're requiring multi-factor authentication on all of our user accounts. We're also blocking sign-ins from outside of countries that we trust and do business in, which for the purposes of this stunt is the United States and Netherlands. So those are the only countries we're allowing to sign into our environment. Any authentication from other countries will be blocked. We're also blocking legacy exchange authentication, which includes older exchange protocols that don't support multi-factor authentication and includes POP, IMAP, SMTP, and ActiveSync. So we have these conditional access policies configured. We also have Azure Identity Protection configured. This is a Microsoft tool that looks for risky sign-in events. So if a user signs in to an account and Microsoft determines using their artificial intelligence and machine learning in the background that sign-in attempt is risky for whatever reason, that'll be logged here. So we would get an alert based off of that. The other thing that we're using is the sign-in activity and sign-in logs within Azure AD. Azure AD, as long as you have the appropriate Azure AD premium license, gives you the ability to see the sign-in activity for all of your users. So you can see where they're signing in from, what app they're signing into. You can see some information about their device, if they've passed multi-factor authentication, which conditional access policies were applied to their account. So we're going kind of a step above and beyond with this, where we don't just have the data in here through the Azure portal, but we're actually pulling this data out into a third-party solution, into Splunk. So what this allows us to do is put some additional logic and alerting on top of this data. So we have a dashboard here that we've developed internally to show us logins into the environment. So we can see where people are signing in from, and we have a very easy view into who's signing in, what device they're signing in from, where they're signing in from, and if that's successful, if MFA is being enforced. And we've also set up some alerting policies within this based on some risk levels that we've set. So whether or not the login is coming from an IP address that we know, from one of our offices, if it's coming from a low-risk country or a high-risk country that we've defined. So we'll get some immediate feedback here based on logins to people's accounts.
Thank you, Trevor. So I do want to take a minute to remind everybody that this is a stunt. Do not try this at home, and do not actually give out your passwords to anybody. What we're trying to demonstrate is that if your password gets stolen or compromised, there are protections to protect against it, but we don't want to encourage people to actively give out their passwords. So without any further ado, let's switch to the next screen, and I'm giving you my password here live on the internet. So it's jrichardson@finchloom.com, and the password is listed right here at the bottom of the screen. So now
Jim,
let me switch.
Can you take presenter rights for us and show us your desktop?
Ah, yes, thank you very much. But let me show you what it looks like when I switch to a virtual machine that I've got running. Now this virtual machine right here is in Korea, so I'm going to save that one for last. Let's switch here to the one that's in Amsterdam. And if I open portal.office.com, I can go type in my username and password. And again, I'm using the same password that I gave out just a few minutes ago. And it'll prompt for multi-factor authentication. Now at this point on my computer screen, I'm waiting for that authentication to come through. And because on my device I can deny that authentication, excuse me one second, you can see on the screen that I had the ability to deny that login because it wasn't me that was requesting it. So that was one protection that I have. If my password is given out and somebody's actually trying to use my password, when I get that second factor of authentication, I just deny it. Now if I switch over to the Korean virtual machine, watch what happens here when I go to portal.office.com. And I'll type in my username and password again. Now this time, because the computer's located in an area that we've blocked, I don't even get the multi-factor authentication. The system just tells me that I can't log in because I'm connecting from a location that is unknown or not allowed by my company. So let's switch back over to Trevor's screen now. Trevor, if you can steal and share the screen, then you can demonstrate some of these alerts that might be coming through both on the console that shows the map of the US and on the email alerts that you might be getting.
Sure. So here's my view again from the view of the security incident responder and the SOC. So we can see here that we do see the failed login attempts on Jim's account through the Azure AD portal. In just a minute, these should start filtering through into our Splunk dashboard. Let's see if they're here yet. There may be a slight delay here. So I do see right here that there are 2 logins that were successful from Amsterdam. So I can see that there were failures, and I can see the reason for the failure here. I can see that MFA was required. And I can see the conditional access policies that were applied that require MFA, and we can see that the result there was a failure. So the important thing to know here is that since we see that MFA failed, we know that the sign-in happened with the user's actual password. So if it was tried with the password that was not correct, we would see here that it was an incorrect password. So we actually know that this user's password has been compromised, and we should probably have the user, reset the password if this was an actual event. We'll get an email alert that shows this is a high-risk Azure AD login. So the Azure AD Identity Protection, we can also look here to see if we have a new risk event. So we don't have a new risk event. The ones that are listed here are already closed. So the important thing to know with the Microsoft tool with Azure AD Identity Protection is this is a really great tool that you should definitely enable to help to identify risky sign-ins into your environment. But it is something that Microsoft has developed, for all organizations. So they don't know your specific organization. They don't know your users' travel patterns. You can configure in here your office locations, so they do know your office locations. But if you want to go above and beyond this and bring your data into a tool like Splunk or another SIM tool, you can build on additional logic and additional alerting that can be more customized for your organization. So you can apply different alerts and different logic for your high value targets, for your executives, or your finance department, and you can configure alerts based off of locations and countries where you know your users should be versus where they wouldn't normally be. So you can create alerting for your own organization, which will be better than the alerting that Microsoft can create globally for all of their organizations.
Great, thank you, Trevor. So I just wanted to end the presentation now, not take up too much of your time, but let's end with a call to action. And basically the big point we wanted to get through to everybody is really stop relying on just passwords alone. You can't just give out passwords, even if they're complex, to your entire user staff and say, here, this password will protect you. You have to incorporate strategy in across a bunch of different things, including multi-factor authentication and the ability to detect when logins are coming in from risky locations or whatnot. The second thing, and this is a real big announcement here, Finchloom has gotten approval to move forward with funding from Microsoft. So we can perform security assessments for you and your organization at little or no cost. So contact us and find out how much we can get for you and what we can do to perform security assessments for your organization. And again, I just wanted to remind everybody, even though we did this stunt to raise awareness around password security, please do not give your password out. So with that, I wanted to say thank you to everybody who joined today. I also wanted to thank Trevor and Nate on our side for producing the show. And at this point, I will say thank you and good night to everybody. Take care and we'll see you again online. My name is Jim Richardson for the Finchloom Stunt. We gave out my password live on the internet and lived to survive and tell the tale. Thanks again. Bye now.